I hate that I have to clarify this at the start of the video so I don't see a horde of comments from many straight, cis, 13-year-old white girls telling me that I'm invalidating the victims they used as weapons to cancel others, but I'm trans and bisexual, more accurately gender fluid and pansexual. I've been harassed for it for a while, and as such I don't like to talk about it. It's not fun to have to completely expose your privacy to share a completely valid opinion, but I guess I have to. I don't believe you have to be a minority to share opinions about minorities, but I think minority voices are incredibly important. Minorities should be the ones to decide the real problems in their lives, and cancel culture should not be determined by the people speaking over minorities. And before I begin, very obviously I don't speak for all of the LGBTQ, and my opinions are my own and shouldn't be taken as gospel.
I think I'm falling in love. I'm your puppet. You control me.
I'm not homophobic. I don't think you are, boy. Faggot.
But before I begin, I make videos every single day. As such, if you could subscribe to the channel to support these videos and support me, it'd be highly appreciated. These videos take a lot of work and sometimes, like with this one, a lot of confidence to make. So I'd highly appreciate any support you could give. If you want to go the extra mile with supporting the channel, you can check out my other social media linked in the description, turn on notifications, fund these videos with donations like the awesome supporters on screen, and support all the artists that helped me produce this video. It will be a miracle if this video gets monetized at all. Firstly, because I have to slither around music copyright like a snake, and then immediately after, I have the issue of the language used within the video. So, donations would be highly appreciated, but if you see ads without the video being claimed, I'd appreciate an applause. This video was inspired by a tweet I saw from Katsoon detailing someone posing as an advocate for trans rights, who then exposed themselves as transphobic. Seeing this reminded me of how little people actually draw attention to the real issues, instead highlighting offensive jokes made by big creators multiple years ago. And normally the people calling out these creators aren't even part of the minority groups, and the people the jokes often pertain to normally aren't offended by the jokes. But this is where we face the main issue, people talking over minorities and using them as tools to cancel bigger creators, and that's the focus of this video. However, before I get into the main topic of this video, I'd like to point out two situations, the Fitz and KSI dramas, which spurred my initial interest on this topic, as both of these situations have merit to the call out, and they highlight when transgender and neurodivergent people spoke for themselves to an extent to call out a creator. Though, even then, from what I can tell, most of the neurodivergent and trans people did not want these creators to be cancelled, and ended up being spoken over once again. So, to start, I'll give you a recap of the Fitz drama. So, back in January of 2021, Fitz, while playing on a Minecraft server and streaming to his audience, described some of his stupid behaviour using the R word, which Fitz didn't think much of, as it'd be nothing new for his audience. However, seeing as he was playing Minecraft, it seems he garnered an audience similar to the Dream SMPs, which immediately responded by attempting to cancel Fitz on Twitter, making his name trend and labelling him ableist, while pleading for an apology, despite him not actually using the word to discriminate, harass or mock anyone, and despite practically none of the people actually calling out Fitz being neurodivergent, or even requesting Fitz get in any trouble for his usage of the word, as it wasn't used in a way to demean them in any way. Though I decided to run a poll on Twitter to verify my conclusion, and as far as I can tell, a resounding amount of neurodivergent people expressed that they weren't hurt by the word. Obviously, this result is skewed for a few reasons, namely that a large portion of my audience came from the Dream drama, and as such they could be linked to the same group that tried to cancel him. However, even with this noted, a huge majority of neurodivergent people said they weren't offended. Though, obviously there were people that got offended by the comments, and I respect that, so I decided to run a further poll asking on YouTube whether people would try to cancel him over this comment. The result highlighted a very small percentage of neurodivergent people that would actually want to get him cancelled, which I think makes sense. While Fitz's comments were ignorant, he's an edgy content creator in his own niche, and doesn't use the word to discriminate, which is why, while he shouldn't use the word, cancelling him over it would be quite extreme. Okay, now jumping forward to the newest story, just a few months ago, a drama sparked over some poor taste words KSI had used in the past, which led to a Twitter fire of people labelling KSI transphobic for using the transphobic slur. I actually covered this in a video back then, Basically, as a simplified rundown, KSI asked what slur he used, and then apologized when he found out it was a slur and had harmed people. Though he handled this relatively poorly, even using the slur unintentionally in his apology, which meant people didn't accept his apology, leading to KSI later leaving Twitter sick of cancel culture, and then in videos mocking the people attempting to cancel him. Again, most of the people calling out KSI were not trans, nor did many trans people actually want KSI cancelled, me included. While this word pertains to me, and in the past I've been bullied using it, I don't think KSI should be cancelled because he was educated on his mistake and learned from it. However, both of these situations did have merit to the callouts, and as such, while I think neither creator deserves to be cancelled, the magnitude of this situation can highlight my points. This same situation can also be seen with an Animal Crossing drama where someone used a hairstyle that was apparently designed for only people of colour to use, and as such, this person got cancelled because their Animal Crossing character was white. This whole drama was ridiculous, as 99% of the people calling this person out were white, and it simply wasn't their place to make this cool, but they did nonetheless. And it's even more ridiculous as in Nintendo's artwork for this hairstyle, they show pictures of this hair on a white character. As far as I can tell, this style wasn't intended only for people of colour. However, the Twitter army tried to make it out to be like that. This user didn't do anything insensitive, they didn't harass anyone or anything like that. They just used the hairstyle they liked on their Animal Crossing character. If you want more information on that situation though, I'd advise you watch my video of Galaxy is OK on their channel where we looked at this in depth. Though this isn't the focus of my video, I want to focus on a different, more prevalent issue, the usage of old tweets and videos to cancel people. This technique has been seen time and again, with many creators from Chris of MrBeast to famous celebrities being called out and cancelled. Personally, I think this technique is a bad one. Digging up dirt on a creator purely to be offended is in itself a very toxic practice. Furthermore, the reason these are old tweets and not new tweets is because they likely don't hold the same views anymore, else they'd still be sharing them. Most of the time when an old tweet is brought up where a creator uses the homophobic slur or shares a semi-transphobic belief, I really don't take it too seriously. Every single person makes mistakes, and cancelling them over those mistakes instead of educating them, especially with mistakes they made years ago, is counterproductive and helps nobody. Transphobes will still be transphobes, whether they get called out. I think old tweets represent the time they came from. Think back to the time of iDubbbz, when every content creator and their mother, regardless of skin tone, used the N-word. Do we cancel all of those people now for doing something that was socially accepted back then but isn't now? Personally, I don't think so. I think that decision wouldn't help anyone, as they likely have learned, otherwise they'd still be using the word to this day. Though, the problem is, whenever a past comment is discovered, immediately a tidal wave of outrage is blasted all over Twitter, and most of the time this outrage isn't even from the minorities that are supposed to be hurt. This outrage tends to come from cis, straight kids offended by how terrible this behaviour is. In many situations, silencing voices like mine. Personally, I don't want this. I don't want to be talked over. I don't want to be ignored. I don't want my voice to be compressed to just someone in the crowd, and not someone part of that minority. Someone the hurt is intended to be sent at. People need to stop using minorities and their troubles to try and cancel people, when a majority of the people in those minorities don't want that to happen. Even in the Fitz situation, as I pointed out, most people didn't want him cancelled. That's the problem. People use minorities as weapons for social justice points, to feel like they're helping, but they aren't. Instead, they're muddying the waters and stopping people from calling out those like the person Katsun mentioned, by instead pointing out mistakes made multiple years ago and opinions that creators held when they were edgy and uneducated teenagers. And then the content creators feed into it, like can be seen with the next topic I'd like to mention. I'll dub this topic the Jacobs effect. The Cole Jacobs drama happened a few weeks ago, a drama in which Cole Jacobs got called out and exposed for, in the past, supporting Ice Poseidon, a streamer who made edgy jokes, and in the last few years denounced that behaviour and completely abandoned his past entirely, apologising for his behaviour. Instead of Cole Jacobs saying that he should be able to support whoever he wants to, and that Ice Poseidon firstly wasn't transphobic, homophobic, or whatever else, Cole buckled under his audience, making an apology and denouncing Ice Poseidon severely, basically slandering him in the process. This was a terrible way to respond. Cole didn't do anything wrong by supporting a creator, and his audience shouldn't be able to determine who he watches. If your audience doesn't like you for who you are, you shouldn't change yourself to fit their ideals. That's the wrong decision. Cole's audience of mostly kids don't understand edgy jokes or where comedy lies, and want to limit anything possible. They're the same community that can be seen cancelling basically everyone for making offensive jokes right now, and when you allow people to cancel everything, where does the cancellation stop? Does this actually help minorities? Does bullying those into fear of expressing opinions instead of educating them on why those opinions are wrong do anything to justifiably change that person to become a better version of themselves? Probably not, but people like Cole now are only allowed to support creators their audience deems tolerable. Otherwise, Cole risks being cancelled. That's absolutely ridiculous. Barely any trans, gay, or BIPOC people wanted this, but now, whether they want it or not, they've got to deal with it, because if they speak up now, they'll be told that they're just one of the few who are uneducated, and be spoken over like they don't even exist. Minorities should lead the charge toward justice and fair call-outs against creators, not privileged cis white people who've never experienced actual discrimination. Instead of taking the Jacobs approach, I think the best way creators should handle these situations is by sticking to their morals, not pretending to be apologetic to please a crowd. If you don't think you did anything wrong, you shouldn't pretend you do to please them. All that leads to is the increasing censorship of what you can and can't say or do. And I think cancelling instead of educating is a terrible approach to progression of society. Bullying people instead of teaching them doesn't work. I personally don't think Fitz's response was that bad. He responded honestly, clarifying that what he said was jokes in the process, and said that he didn't feel wrong for doing so. While I disagree with him believing there was nothing wrong with what he did, I think that responding honestly is honourable and commendable. Standing your ground on your beliefs and retaining your integrity can be a good thing, though I think Fitz should refrain from using the R word. Overall, I don't think people should apologise for every little mistake they make, and they shouldn't be cancelled for these mistakes. That solution helps nobody and is literally the worst case scenario. Unless someone is literally a criminal, or trying to get a cupcake, they can most likely learn and change. Education is the way forward, not cancelling people. Cancelling people doesn't work. So, what's the real point of this video? Well, I want to highlight that people speaking over minorities to use them as tools to cancel others, and completely ignoring what the minority victims of the supposed hate crime wants, using them as a method of performative activism to act like they care about others for social credit, are a problem and should be denounced. This type of behaviour shouldn't be acceptable. You shouldn't be able to speak over a minority and try and claim what they want for them. This can be tied back to what happened to Katzune, where they got harassed by someone acting like they supported trans people for public credit, while holding very transphobic views in private. The public is feeding into people cancelling everyone in the place of the people being discriminated against, and when those same minorities share their own opinions, or say they don't want people to get cancelled over this stuff, they themselves get silenced by the rest of the crowd, basically told they don't know what they want for themselves, and oh, as a little bit of proof, watch what happens in the comments of this video. I bet you there will be people commenting telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about and I should just sit quiet while they have their way, acting like I need this strong, privileged, cis person to fight my wars for me and tell me what I want, while they have their way trying to ruin people's online lives for a few likes. I don't want to be spoken over when I share my opinions on something, or to be told I'm just uneducated because I don't take offense to jokes, or people not actually trying to hurt me in any way. People make mistakes, and that can be seen clearly with people's past being dragged back up to call them out. One of the most prevalent problems with this whole community. You've probably noticed by now that every big creator at some point has had a past clip of them saying or doing something offensive or ignorant come back to bite them, and these past mistakes have then been tried to use to cancel them, by people bringing up how disappointed they are in these content creators, which brings up another issue with people idolizing content creators, which has a simple solution. Don't treat content creators as role models. Let them be human and let them make mistakes. Teach them. Don't cancel them. Jesus, I really had to get that last bit off my chest. But anyway, that's where this video ends. Although I could go on way more tangents to drag this video out and prove the exact same point, I think the message in this video is incredibly clear. let the voices of minorities speak for themselves. They don't need to be spoken for. They don't need to be represented by a privileged cis white male. That's not what they need. And stop trying to cancel everything for internet credit. It doesn't make you an ally. Instead, you determine for others what they want, using them. Though, if you want to support this channel or future videos, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. These videos aren't easy to produce and take a lot of research, scripting, rescripting, and re-editing to get out, so your support makes it possible and enjoyable. I'm aiming for 25,000 subscribers within the next 2 months, and I appreciate you guys accepting me so much for who I am. Thank you for all of the recent support. It's insane that we've got so close already, and that's all for today. I hope you have a nice day. Check out my other social media down below, and support the fundraiser on the right of the screen to support the LGBTQ communities. Thank you. Goodbye.
Says she wanna rock with it like me. I'm a stylish guy. Spend a little guap with it like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock with it like me.